Okay, so the streaming has started. ओके, तो 11 बज के 19 मिनट हो रहे हैं और मेरे लैपटॉप की बैटरी और मेरी बैटरी दोनों ही डिस्चार्ज है अभी। बट टुडे वी विल नॉट केयर अबाउट स्लीपिंग। कल मैं जल्दी सो गया था क्योंकि बहुत तेज नींद आ रही थी मुझे। तो फ्रॉम नाउ 11, 12, 1 बजे तक हम कोशिश करेंगे कि 1 बजे तक हम काम करें। आई विल ट्राई माई बेस्ट। ऑलराइट, लेट्स लेट्स गो लेट्स गो। तो मुझे एक वीडियो मिली, ये वाली वीडियो काफी अच्छी वीडियो है ये। लाइक सिनेमैटिक तरीके से बनाई हुई वीडियो, इस पे ये वायरल मटेरियल 2.7 मिलियन लाइक्स है सिर्फ इसका। तो सोचो कि व्यूज कितने होंगे। तो हम क्या करेंगे अभी, हम एक तो ड्राइव मेरा, मैं अपना ड्राइव ओपन कर लेता हूँ। मेरा ड्राइव, वेयर इज माई ड्राइव? ना 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 ना। ओके, ये वाला करते हैं। कंटेंट क्रिएशन फंडामेंटल रिलेटिव। लेट्स सी। ना, एड रेवेन्यू इसमें क्या? ये वाला था, ये चला। ओह, अच्छा, ओके। नहीं ढूंढ रहा था मैं, मिल गया मेरे को। अभी इसमें हम सेव करेंगे, क्या पता है क्या सेव करेंगे यहाँ पर। यहाँ पे इसमें हम यूज करेंगे कुछ ऐसे वीडियोस, रील्स आइडिया। आगे इसमें चलो टैब नंबर 10, इसको रीनेम करो रील्स। रील डॉट फॉर्मेट वीडियो फॉर इंस्टाग्राम। अरे सिंपल नंबर आईडी, आईजी रील आईडी कलेक्शन। ठीक है, तो ऐसे मिलता जाएगा हमें, तो हम उसको सेव कर लेंगे। हाँ, आयरन लंग, बर्नार्ड। कुछ पता नहीं इसमें मैंने कितने पास वीडियो डाले इसमें, इतना ज्यादा। वहाँ पे कॉलेज में जाएगा तो इसको 24 वीडियो डाले इसमें। सबसे तो खतरनाक मेरे को ये लगा, इसने जो 2 वीडियो डाले और इतनी सारे ये रहा लाइफ आउट है, सिर्फ 2 वीडियो डाले। सिंपल स्टेटस। तो एक नया सा अजीब सा नीश निकल के आ रहा है, इसको कॉपी करो और करो इसको। इन तीनों को कॉपी करेंगे, इसको भी कॉपी करो और लास्ट को भी कॉपी करो। बहुत ही सिमिलर टाइप के कंटेंट है, मे बी शायद सेम ही पर्सन बना रहा हो। बहुत ही ज्यादा पॉसिबिलिटी है ऐसा होने की। तो हम इसको किधर से करें, किधर से करेंगे, पूरा क्लिकर हो रखा है। ना 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 ना। क्लोज 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 क्लोज। कुछ टेस्ट कर रहा था। ये जो माइक है बहुत ही घटिया क्वालिटी का माइक है, तो फिलहाल इसी पे काम चलाना होगा। लाइव। ऐसे तो वीडियोस और भी नहीं सेव करते जाऊंगा उसको, ताकि हमारे पास एक कलेक्शन हो। कॉपी करके बताऊँ, इतना टाइम नहीं मेरे पास, तो मैं हर चीज़ के लिए आइडिया सोचूं ओरिजिनल। बंद करो, बंद करो। बैंड, बैंड। इसको भी बंद कर देता हूँ बाद में, हॉलीवुड पेड़, दोनों टैब को मर्ज कर दे। चलो हो गया। मैं वही आपको तो मेरा शक्ल दिख रही थी, you would want, you were not able to know it। कोई नहीं, अब दिखेगी। लेट, लेट। वैसे बाय द वे, अगर इफ यू वर वंडरिंग व्हाट आई डिड, मैंने ये तीनों वीडियोस, सॉरी चैनल सेव किया है। बहुत सिमिलर टाइप कंटेंट है इनका। कंप्यूटर दिखेंगे तो ऐसा दिखेगा, ऐसे ही वीडियो है इसको, ठीक है। मतलब अच्छे खासे व्यूज जा रहे हैं के ऊपर, हर एक वीडियो पे ऑलमोस्ट 100 के मान के चलोगे, एवरेज। किसी किसी पे मिलियन व्यूज है। तो अभी हम क्या करेंगे बस, क्या करेंगे, लास्ट टाइम ये कर रहे थे तो इसी को कंटिन्यू करते हैं। जल्दी जल्दी, जल्दी जल्दी सेव करते हैं। कौन से करेंगे तो Iraq, Iraq होना चाहिए था। Iraq, where is Iraq? मार्कस जो, मार्कस जो, मार्कस जो। ये मार्कस जॉन तो गुरु निकला ना, तो इसको इधर नहीं सेव करते हैं, इसको कट कर दो। गुरु जी के चरण इधर, यूट्यूब एजुकेशन, मार्कस जॉन छुटा हुआ। फिल्म बूथ का भी गुरु जी है, तो फिर इसको भी इधर ही राइट। फिल्म बूथ का तो है ही ऑलरेडी सेव किया। एक है, अब ये क्या लिखे जरा। तो ये क्या सेव करना है, इसका रिमोट और एडमिन, ये ब्लॉग से देखते हैं। ठीक है, तो इसको रहने देते हैं, क्योंकि हमारा फॉर्मेट ही बिल्कुल अलग है, ठीक है। वीडियो बना रहे हैं तो इससे हम क्यों ही इंस्पिरेशन है, क्योंकि ये हमारे काम ले सकते हैं, बट बेटर ऑप्शन है तो अवेलेबल है, क्यों ना बेटर ऑप्शन की तरफ बढ़ा चाहिए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये, राइट, ये ब्लॉग नहीं है, पेपर, ठीक है। तो फिर तो पॉपुलर पे जाऊँ मैं, नहीं, लेटेस्ट आजकल के जो ट्रेंड चल रहा है उसके ऊपर बेस्ड, ठीक है। नॉट वेरी पॉपुलर, क्योंकि व्यूज तो भाई मिल जाते हैं। सैंडविच, सैंडविच बैग फायर स्टार्ट। कच्चा बादाम, कच्चा बादाम, entitled spreadsheet, veritasium, veritasium, Paste. Moving on to something else. Moving on to something else. For this thing, you that have to put in. Next, moving on to the telescope वाला चलो देखते हैं. Yay! 47 videos only. Right? Best playlist. और और क्या? Best playlist non copyright. Best वाला भी है. उसका नाम क्या है? ये तो कंपनी है. इसमें ज़्यादा डेटा सैंपल नहीं है. एक साथ बनाया मतलब इससे अच्छे से डेटा सैंपल है. इसको भी रहने देते हैं. इसको हटाएगा. ये रहने दो. डेटा सैंपल Jared over videos. Yes. Even the हर वीडियो में 2-4 मिलियन सब्सक्राइबर्स. गुड. चलो देख करो. हाँ. कितनी वीडियो टोटल? ओ भाई क्या चल गया? Next.
Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there.
Mostly education से related है. How, what, where, what's inside, what's how, how does what's inside. Mostly यही है.
Just say
और
run.
बाकी thumbnail का जो thumbnail तो इसको रहने देगा. तो कंटेंट उधर उसका इतना ही है.
Building a car for the astronauts to drive to the moon. This was very different from planning. Just getting to it. When they went outside in their spacesuits, they only had a few hours. That's not enough time to walk very far. If they had some sort of car or vehicle, they could travel on the moon. This includes considered extended to reduce unwanted. Before they the way through, though, the pivot point shifted to the lower support arm. Now it will rotate from here. When the rover was at about 45 degrees, something else happened. There is a cable in the center here that finally tightened. This tugged on several pulleys, which rotate to release two pins, which have been keeping the rover folded. Due to the powerful torsion springs, both sides of the chassis will now try to unfold. Nothing is holding the aft chassis back, so it will unfold first. These wheels are spring-loaded. They want to rotate outwards, but they are held in place by the wheel struts. Inside of here, there are pins holding the struts in place. As the aft chassis unfolds, it tightens the cables inside here, which pulls the pins out. This releases the struts, and the wheels can unfold. This motion happened very quickly. Then locking pins make sure that it stayed in place. For the forward chassis unfolding, this happened much slower. This area at the end of the support arm is called the walking hinge. As the rover kept rotating, this piece forced the rover to pull on the less gravity. Or in MESA, we've got the Lunar Communications Relay Unit.
नहीं ऐसा कंटेंट नहीं बनाना. Jared Wilson है नहीं. Jared बंद कर. Azul Wilson.
I've done a couple videos in the past about how boomers are in trouble when it comes to being able to retire, like this video here and this one here. But in today's video, I want to talk about us. I want to talk about Gen X, the generation behind boomers, because I think Gen X is even in worse situation. And here's why. You know, the boomers really were fortunate to get in as soon. There's also a cap on Social Security. So if they're going to cap wisely, these are 5 things that I think you should never share with anyone. And I learned a couple of these the hard way, and I don't want you to go through that pain. So let's jump in and I'll share my list. The first one is, you know, talking to people about your salary or your savings is, in my opinion, on a need to know basis. And the reason why is when two people get together and they talk about how much they're making or how much they've saved, there's usually one person that's going away disappointed or angry, hurt, or jealous. And there's really very little to be gained. And now, you know, I retired as a financial advisor. I needed to know how much my clients had saved and how much that they were making so that I could help them. And a mortgage broker needs to know that, and an estate planning attorney needs to know that. And
About 2 years ago, I got an email from a guy who had a theory about the pyramids. And at first, I kind of ignored it, because when it comes to the pyramids, In the 60s, there was a group of architects who imagined a city that could walk and roam freely and even connect with other cities just like them. It would host people, thousands of people, and they would know no boundaries. But why? An elevated bus, each system into the shape people want.
Good, good thing. Very good. इतनी वीडियो नहीं, 300 वीडियो काफी टाइम से नहीं, 2 साल 3 साल, बस इतने ही नहीं, 2 साल 1 साल की वीडियो, 1 साल 2 साल आर्किटेक्ट से रिलेटेड। ओके, हाँ, part of that. बचा बादाम बचा बादाम, यार, ओके, दामिनी, 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 whatever. Let's check it out. तो गाइस मैं एक काम कर रहा हूँ, थोड़ी देर के लिए ना मैं वीडियो बंद करूँ, कुछ बच्चे को और मैं पैसे दे as one role clip. We finally know the truth. It's finally over. Okay. And then he started to laugh a little friend. What you thinking? Uh, oh, oh, कर देना हो जाए मेरे को। वाह, दिक्कत हो जाएगी अगर कर दिया गया। सच बता रहा, राइट? Touching is important. कैसे वाला? Okay. Oh my God. His YouTuber just got in 4K. बहुत सारे इसके वो अच्छे हैं, क्या बोलते हैं आपका, कि वो टाइटल और समथिंग है ना, काफी अच्छे। कितनी वीडियोस है टोटल? बहुत सारे होंगे भाई, 16 पर 4K पर 50 वीडियोस लाइक हार्ड, दिमाग खराब हो जाएगा ये गलत करने। ओके 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 ओके। भाई अभी 6 महीना ही हुआ है, 1 साल पुराना भी नहीं आया, इतने सारे वीडियो है। मुझे तो काफी है, बस बस बस, इतना सारा डेट। थंबनेल बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, थंबनेल की वजह से, है ना, ये काफी ज्यादा होता है, थंबनेल की वजह से ही बहुत ज्यादा मतलब पे क्लिक करते हैं। कैन आई लिसन टू म्यूजिक वाइल स्ट्रीमिंग? क्या मैं ये सर्च करके देखूं कि कोई कॉपी कर लेता हूँ? ये नहीं। What the math? राइजिंग ग्लोल्ड हो गया, what the math एक बार देख लेते हैं। बस देख लेते हैं। ठीक है, सेव। कितने वीडियोस है? फोटो भाई, इतने सारे वीडियो कैसे बना, कैसे लेता, और हर एक वीडियो भाई, हर एक वीडियो पे एटलीस्ट 200 के एवरेज, 200 की हर एक वीडियो। थंबनेल एंड टाइटल लगे, बहुत ही रिकग्नाइजेबल सेटअप, सेटअप बोल रहे हैं ना। हाँ, तो वही है कुछ नहीं बताइए किसने बनाया है ये, कल चलिए बहुत मतलब कॉपी ऑल, क्या नाम है इसका, व्हाट द मैथ, यही है व्हाट द मैथ। ये नहीं मुझे क्या है, ये हो सकता था, यही है ऑन पेट्रोल एंड ऑन पेट्रोल। पहले थंबनेल अच्छा होना चाहिए, फिर टाइटल अच्छा होना चाहिए, और एक दूसरे का कॉम्प्लीमेंट भी होना चाहिए। ओके, मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट वन। कॉग्निटिव क्या, क्या ये देखिए जरा। हम्म, क्या वीडियो, सही से कह रहा, कोशिश की जा रही है पर पता नहीं क्यों कोशिश फेल की है मेरे इससे। और एक अच्छे यहाँ पर ये बैड एग्जाम्पल के लिए फेस किया गया मैंने। क्योंकि ना बहुत सारे एलिमेंट है इसके, मेरे को यही सबसे वो दिख रहा है। भाई इतना सारा टेस्ट जब मैं यार से एल्गोरिथम स्टार्ट करते हैं बैड एग्जाम्पल, बैड। ओ माय गॉड, ओ माय, ओ माय गॉड, वेरी गुड वेरी गुड। चलो देख।
Binary options. Wait till I tell you about this trading opportunity that you guys have actually suggested that I try for years now. Probably one of the most requested videos I've ever gotten. But I've only recently looked into it when I started seeing it promoted through some very enticing claims saying you can turn a couple dollars into thousands within minutes with this form of stock trading. And I mean, common sense, you guys know me, I'm trying to get rich quick. So in this video, we're gonna dive headfirst into this trading opportunity, see what we can find out, and try to turn a couple dollars into thousands ourselves. So if you're like me from 5 minutes ago and are uncultured enough to not know what binary options are, let me quickly explain what that is, and I'm honestly actually really hyped to try this out. So you have regular stock options, which we all know and love losing money on. Those are basically contracts you buy behind certain stocks if you're really confident about a particular trade. If you think a $30 stock is gonna go up, you can buy a call option saying that within the next month, which is the expiration date, this stock will hit a particular strike price, let's say $35. And so throughout that time period, if the stock price gets closer to your $35 strike price, your option contracts behind that stock can go up in value like crazy, and you can sell your contracts whenever in that time period. And the more unlikely slash risky a particular scenario is, the more you stand to make. So
किस से फिर और फाइनेंशियल इशू तो क्लियर है। फाइनेंशियल नहीं। Hmm, confused. I am a bit confused because उसका एक वीडियो तो बहुत अच्छा चला है। लेकिन को आप लोग जानते हैं स्टार तो सेव नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि ये अच्छा ग्रोइंग है लर्निंग। एआई को हम हमारा बेटा का एग्जांपल भी दे सकते हैं। ओह वाह, दिस गुड आइडिया, दैट्स अ गुड आइडिया। ओके, okay. एआई को दैट डिडंट वर्क। ओके, चलो माइंड में है अब ये बात। तब फिर उसको द मार्कोन वीडियो, उसको द मेकर होना, द मेकर हो। इसको भी सेव नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि इसका अलग ही टाइप का कंटेंट है एंड लेकिन व्यूज जा रहे हैं। थंबनेल अच्छा है, इसका टाइटल भाई कॉम्प्लीमेंटेड भाई होता है। क्या चीज है भाई, ओ माय गॉड। You know,
This episode is brought to you by Design and Risk Assessment. It emphasized modern society's critical reliance on these simple ceiling components. Early
component of a fluid sealing system. A typical sealing assembly were one of the first use cases required to maintain the rotor's speed against the oil. This torque measurement is then used to calculate the oil's This episode is brought to you by horizontal axis rotation to the vertical axis based millstones that utilized gravity for grain feeding. The solution was the first known right angle gear drive that used a pin and face design, mostly in their sockets between the two discs, acting as a primitive roller bearing. This helped distribute the wear around the entire circumference of the stave. While this helped with friction, the forces at the points of contact transmitted as abrupt, short bursts that produced vibration. From this limitation, a new approach would be developed based on the cog. These cogs were created by using wedge-shaped blocks of wood driven into mortises on the rim of a wheel. What made the idea so innovative was that the tapered shape allowed for smoother entry into the pinion. Because of the imprecise nature of wooden cogs, the depth of the interface was limited to prevent jamming during the approach phase of the mesh. This geometry inadvertently created recess action, where the majority of the drive occurs as the tooth is exiting the mesh. This action is smoother and less prone to vibration due to the rolling and pulling action, and it also prevents the destructive compressive locking of wooden teeth under heavy shock loads. The Industrial Revolution would mark a milestone in right-angled power transmission with the introduction of steam power. Steam generated torque at orders of magnitude higher than water wheels, and wood simply could not transmit this power without deflection or failure.
How does a simple steel bar transform into... Once cut, the ingots are grouped and stored ready for the next stage. Process called resistance. Two power edges, forming burrs. But it has also left a ring of excess metal at the base of the head. Creation is a process of high properties. Several pieces are placed on a support. The three-phase process of heating, quenching, and tempering is the same as coating. One by one, binders, 5-8 passed all tests and quality controls, is ready. A crane lifts it and prepares it for loading. The heavy load is carefully placed into a container.
This episode is
ये काफी अच्छा है। गुड थंब।
Why are supercar engines so expensive? If you take a Ferrari V12 and compare it to something more humble, let's say a Toyota G16E GTS, the inline 3 found in the GR Yaris and GR Corolla, you will see that these two engines use the same technologies: direct fuel injection, variable valve timing and lift, CNC machined intakes. They also use pretty much the same materials: high-grade aluminum silicon alloys for the block and the heads, aluminum pistons, forged steel cranks, sodium-filled exhaust valves. And both engines are largely hand-built by expert technicians. So why does the Ferrari cost 8 times more? Well, you could argue, hey, it's a bigger engine, V12, 6.5 liters, so they need more raw materials. Indeed, the engine does weigh more, but even the highest grade, most expensive aluminum alloys used for making engines, they cost around $8 per kilogram. That gives us $968 for the difference in raw materials. And let's not forget, American grade engines, they're also big, they need a lot of raw materials, and they make a lot of power, but they don't cost nearly as much as something from Ferrari or Lamborghini. So we have to ask ourselves, what does the rest of all this money buy you? Just a badge? Well, that's the exact question we'll be answering in variable intake trumpets. Although Ferrari's system is taken directly from previous F1 engines and is both infinitely and constantly variable. It is controlled by an ECU which monitors RPM and throttle position and chooses the optimal trumpet length for that RPM and load combination. This enables two things. The first one is that 80% off-peak torque is available at 2,500 RPM. This is beyond impressive for a naturally aspirated engine. And now we have the question for winning the engine. The question is, what is the percentage of silicon in Ferrari's proprietary aluminum alloy? The second thing made possible by Ferrari's constantly variable intake ducts is something that Ferrari patented, and it's called torque shaping. They use all the electrical and variable systems present on the engine to produce the smoothest and most dramatic torque curve imaginable. To achieve this, they sacrifice a tiny bit of peak torque across a number of points of the rev range, and in exchange, what is created is the most emotional acceleration possible. The car feels like it's always accelerating at any RPM. There's never a feeling that you reached a plateau. Instead, it's never-ending drama that increases exponentially as the RPM rises to the stratospheric 9,500 RPM red line. Obviously, there is an immense amount of research and development behind this technology. And there we have it, one very special V12.
और इसका नहीं सेव कर तो इसका भी। फाइव के सब्सक्राइबर प्लीज। अच्छे अच्छे खासे लोग जा रहे थे। बढ़िया। नाइस ग्रोथ।
How does your car's air conditioning system keep you cool on those scorching hot days? Let's take a closer look at the brackets attached to the inverter fan. It is necessary to compress the refrigerant gas. The compressor consists of one or more pistons housed inside cylinders, which compresses the refrigerant gas. The refrigerant initially enters the compressor as a low-pressure gas. This gaseous refrigerant is then compressed by the compressor, which increases its pressure and temperature significantly. After being compressed by the compressor, the refrigerant gas exits the compressor as a high-pressure, high-temperature gas. This hot gas flows into the inlet of the condenser, which is usually located at the front of the vehicle, near the radiator to take advantage of the airflow when the car is moving. The condenser is made up of a series of tubes and fins that provide a large surface area for heat exchange. As the hot refrigerant gas from the compressor flows through the condenser coils, it releases heat to the surrounding air. The condenser fan and vehicle motion ensure that sufficient air passes over the condenser to dissipate heat effectively, enhancing the cooling process. As the refrigerant loses heat, it begins to change from a high-pressure gas to a high-pressure liquid. This is called phase change. This phase change occurs because the refrigerant's temperature drops below its condensation point as it releases heat. The cold refrigerant is now cycled back through the receiver dryer. The receiver dryer helps separate any remaining gas from the liquid refrigerant. The internal structure of the receiver dryer facilitates this separation, ensuring that only liquid refrigerant flows to the expansion valve. The filtered, moisture-free, and high-pressure liquid refrigerant exits the receiver dryer and flows towards the expansion valve. The expansion valve is a vital component in a car's air conditioning system, responsible for regulating the flow of refrigerant from the high-pressure side to the low-pressure side of the system. When the high-pressure liquid refrigerant passes through the expansion valve, it encounters a sudden drop in pressure. This pressure drop causes a further drop in temperature, leading to a partial phase change of the refrigerant from liquid to vapor. The refrigerant exits the expansion valve as a
एक और चीज़ तो
This is a tip. It can fire rockets, use hydraulic spikes, and survive the inside of a tornado. First, I'm going to show you how to build one, and then at the end, I'm going to test it against an EF5 in a game called Twisted. So first, what kind of car would we want for this vehicle? It needs to be both robust and heavy duty. Things like the Chevy Silverado 2500, the F350 heavy duty, and the Ram 3500 would be perfect. They've all got a high towing capacity, some pretty good top speeds for trucks, but I think if there was anything you had to choose, it better be the F350. It has one of the highest towing capacities out there, also super modifiable for all the armor you're gonna add to the car, and for all of the different types of sensors you're gonna wanna add at the end, including the rocket probe. And then lastly, it has an extreme amount of power that's needed to break through all different types of debris. But there's 3 different engine types, and only one of them will give you the amount of power that you need. 2 gasoline engines that make somewhere between 405 and 430. Have you ever seen an F1 race on a YouTube video or actually seen one in person? You probably know those cars are and that's because their engines can make 1,000 horsepower. But what if I told you F1 cars don't actually make 1,000 horsepower? And the reason we still use horsepower today is because of one guy's bad math. But in order to get there, we gotta turn back time a little. Back in the 1770s, there was a pretty famous engineer by the name of James Watt. Fun fact, the energy measurement we use on all our electronics and light bulbs, called a watt, came from the same guy. Back when horses were still the main form of transportation and steam engines weren't powerful enough to get rid of them, Watt decided he wanted to beat both of those problems with a new type of steam engine.
This is a Formula One pit stop in real time. Within just 2.5 seconds, all 4 tires are changed and even the car's setup was modified. And to understand how that is possible, I've animated the entire thing so we can take a look at it in slow motion. If the driver overshoots even slightly, the whole team has to adjust, stepping forward to compensate and wasting valuable time. To help the driver nail their mark, teams use a mechanical arm with an arrow in the pit box, and the perfect stop happens when the front tires line up exactly beneath that arrow. One of the boldest roles in the pit crew belongs to the front jack operator. This person stands directly in front of the car, positioning the front jack so that it catches just a bit of momentum from the nose cone as the car comes to a halt. Then, in one smooth motion, the operator lifts the car from the front. At the same time, behind the car, the rear jack operator gets into position. Since they need to leave room for the car to enter, they're slightly slower than the front jack, but the moment the car stops, they also slide a jack into place, lifting the back wheels. Meanwhile, on either side of the car, 2 stabilizers.
This is the LAC coffee table. With most products, you usually get two choices, Coke or Pepsi. Samsung.
I cannot imagine you sitting in the production studio as they made this, and someone said, "That is heat. That is so good."
Her voice is so grating.
It is
so
very
nasally.
grating. It is like a cheese grater for the. It is terrible. It is trash.
Even 3 like
Regular Show, the cartoon about two slackers, a blue jay, and a raccoon who work at a park and constantly unleash cosmic horror. Regular Show has got to be my favorite cartoon show. I grew up with a Regular Show influenced the byproducts by a pop-up ad or a flyer or a radio announcement, but for the sake of simplicity, I chose to focus just on commercials. We do need to go over the purchasing funnel really quickly to understand the level of influence in these commercials. Mostly because you know every evil corporation within the show is studying this thing like crazy. We're only going to focus on the first 3 levels of the funnel. The first one is awareness, which basically means that you know a product exists, but consideration is the level where you actually start considering to buy the product. Then conversion is where you actually purchase the product. What I expected researching this was that most of the time, a character.
Okay, so we've got a problem right now. How fast do you think I'm going right now? 55 miles an hour, 75. Okay, so we've got a problem right now. How fast do you think I'm going right now? 55 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour, 110. Well, you're wrong, because I'm going 130 miles an hour and it looks nothing like how it looks in real life. I mean, I might as well be running right now. That's how fast that this looks. It's disappointing, really. It's disappointing. Why do racing games get this so wrong? Almost every racing game misrepresents what it's like to speed. I don't want to feel like I'm doing 55 in a Prius. I want to be scared. Like this footage of someone driving like a maniac. I want a game like this, but it doesn't exist. So I'm going to take my list of features that will make the sense of speed in racing games feel real and create a whole new genre of racing games. So I started by opening a fresh project in Unreal Engine 5 using the vehicle demo, and it already has no tomorrow and tweak in order to get. It's because they lie about the road width. In Forza Horizon 5, a 2-lane road is so big you can literally fit almost 3 cars into just 1 lane. Like, wow. When you actually think about it, it's kind of crazy. In GTA 5, 2.5 to 3 cars. The Crew, 2.5 to 3 cars. I didn't even notice how bad it was until I started making this video. And it's pretty obvious why they do this. It's because it's more forgiving for the player. But in real life, you'd be lucky to fit like 1.5 cars in the same lane. And in my game, we're aiming for realism, so we have to do this. Frick the whole being nice to the player. I want this to be actually scary. Y'all are not gonna have fun playing this.
Out of pocket for that shit.
I was to actually, you know, like, what is this?
Y'all losing me, man.
So I was looking around for inspiration and I found this video of someone absolutely cooking at pitch black at night. And this is the exact vibe that I want for the game. So I kind of spent the next 3 days recreating this whole entire map.
You know who Mark Zuckerberg is? Do research.
And it turned out sick. Considering I started from nothing, flying around the viewport, the map actually
So you're wondering how to capitalize all the letters of your document here in Google Docs. Well, first off, we need to highlight all the text, so you can hold down your left mouse button and drag it out and select it all, or the shortcut is Control A on your keyboard. Once the text is all selected, head up to Format, we'll left click on it, hover down to Text, move off to the right, hover down to Capitalization, and it's going to give you the uppercase option. You can go ahead and left click on that, and now all of your text is capitalized. It's really that simple to capitalize all the letters in Google Docs. So you're wondering how to capitalize all the letters of your document here in Google Docs. Well, first off, we need to highlight all the text.
Lamborghini builds cars that look like they should dominate Formula 1. So why they have never raced properly in it? And why after 60 years does the world's wildest car brand still avoid the world's fastest sport? Lamborghini's story doesn't start on the racetrack, it starts in a garage, with a broken clutch. In early 1960s, Ferruccio Lamborghini wasn't a supercar icon. He was a tractor guy, a rich one, but still a tractor guy. And like a lot of Italian men with too much money, he bought a Ferrari and hated it. The car was brilliant, the engine was magic, but the clutch, it kept failing. So Ferruccio drove to Maranello to complain, not as a rival, just a customer who knew machinery and wanted something fixed. Enzo Ferrari didn't exactly welcome the feedback. He looked at Ferruccio in the eye and said, "You stick to building tractors, I'll build the cars." And that was the moment everything changed. Ferruccio went home angry, furious even, and decided he wasn't going to prove Enzo wrong on a racetrack. No, he was going to beat him where it hurt the most, the road. And that's how Lamborghini was born. Not out of racing, but pride. A rivalry created before a single Lamborghini ever existed. 4 months later, the first Lambo, the 350 GT, rolled out of a tiny workshop built by 5 ex-Ferrari engineers who also had their own issues with Enzo. From day one, Ferrari and Lamborghini were enemies. But here's the twist. It was never a racing rivalry. Ferrari lived for motorsport, Lamborghini wanted to do nothing with it. While Ferrari built F1 engines, chased championships, and raised their reputation through racing, Ferruccio believed something completely different. If your road car is good enough, you do not have to race to prove it. To him, racing wasn't a proving ground, it was a distraction, a money pit, something only brands desperate for validation needed to do. That philosophy is the foundation of why Lamborghini never became an F1 giant. Lamborghini didn't jump into racing right away, but eventually curiosity caught up. Their first real step into motorsport wasn't Formula 1, it was something far less glamorous, and it went badly. In the 1970s, BMW asked Lamborghini to help build a new Group 4 race car. Big deal, big opportunity, this could have been Lambo's way into proper racing. Instead, disaster. Lamborghini built the prototypes, but the company was collapsing financially. They couldn't deliver the cars fast enough, BMW took the project away and finished it elsewhere. Those cars would go on to become the BMW M1, one of the most iconic racing silhouettes ever made. And Lamborghini's name, nowhere near it. That was their first real brush with racing. A chance to prove themselves, a chance to battle the giants, missed. Their next attempt didn't happen until the late 80s, and this time they went straight to Formula 1. 1989. Lamborghini became an engine supplier, not to Ferrari, not to McLaren, to small midfield and backmarker teams. Lamborghini builds cars that look.
From million-dollar hypercars to the strangest rides that you'll ever see,
Like they should dominate.
from million-dollar hypercars
In this video, we've got a driver swimming through traffic like it's a video game. A Charger showing off in front of the cops.
Bro, there's more cops coming.
A pro racer flying down the highway. 3 street racers. No clue a cop's right behind them. And so much more. On April 27, 2004, in Oklahoma City, a pursuit began when officers attempted to pull over Scott Taft's blue Mustang for a traffic violation. Upon discovering he was wanted on federal warrants, Taft fled, reaching speeds of up to 110 miles per hour, and even driving the wrong way into traffic. In Oklahoma, a head-on collision like that could mean first-degree murder. At this point, he's being heavily chased, and police are ready to try everything to stop him. From spike strips to pit maneuvers, they're throwing the entire playbook at this guy.
And now, like the OHP officer is trying to bump the back of that car.
Like they
Thinking you can escape an Arkansas trooper on a moped is dumb, but escaping in reverse? That's reverse smart. And it gets even worse, like a shooting suspect who tried outrunning officers on a bicycle on the freeway. On July 25, 2025, in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Corporal Daryl Hinton spotted a moped with a broken taillight. At a red light, he pulled up behind the rider and switched on his lights. For a second, it looked like the suspect would pull over, and that would have been the smart choice.
Pull over there for me.
Hey.
Pull over there for me.
Okay.
Hey, just go over there and pull into the...
Okay,
No. Pull up.
Oh, okay.
Get in the parking lot. Hey, get in the parking lot. You about to have a problem real quick. It's 12 on 1037 with a moped. I'm on Phillips Street going back into the neighborhood. White male, hat, no shirt.
After a successful pit on the moped, the suspect made another dumb move, ditching it and sprinting 200 yards on foot. But Trooper Hinton caught up fast, and soon it was clear why he ran.
You drop anything out there, 'cause I'm about to call a dog. I got it in my pocket. What dog's wrong? What you ran for? Yes, sir. A picture black. I'm Trooper Hinton with the state police. Reason I was gonna pull you up, you got a book still now. Yeah, I know. That was crazy, huh? Come on. Well, you about to go to jail, so.
The rider turned out to be 38-year-old Eddie D. Williams, and the list of problems didn't
This is Ollie. He's a Formula One driver. And today, he's entering an amateur kart race.
Oh, my knees.
Completely undercover.
Come on!
None of the other racers have a clue they're up against a pro. We've always wondered, if you dropped an F1 driver into a competitive amateur race, just how easy would it be for them to win? To find out, we disguised Ollie as a total beginner and gave him a 3-step mission. Step 1, qualify dead last without raising suspicion. Step 2, win the race from the back of the grid. And 3, reveal who he really is on the podium. But can he fool them all and win the race without getting caught? First up, we had to get Ollie into character, starting with a few key details to make the act believable.
Do you want a voice?
What do you think? I'll work on the voice.
Voice, name, character, backstory, anything.
You're getting a haircut too. Win-win.
It's the neck. I can't get over the neck. It looks saggy. Sorry, Ollie. It's lovely. It looks great. Whilst Ollie is putting on his disguise, let's talk about the disguise you actually need online.
That's where
I bought the cheapest bike on Amazon. It's a total piece of sheer excitement if we hack it with a $15 Bluetooth dongle and a battery that costs twice as much as the bike. Pushing 10 times the power through a $1,000 budget bike could lead to an explosion, but I don't care because I have 4 more of these, and if they survive this video, I'm giving them away. All you need to hack a Tudio is this $15 Bluetooth dongle from Amazon. I'm taking off the seat and unscrewing the controller plate. Removing the battery, I now have access to the controller where the Bluetooth dongle plugs right in. Taking off this cover gives me access to the power leads, which I'm removing and replacing with my own battery harness, positive and negative, that lead to a QS connector matching the 72-volt battery I'm upgrading to. This is the stock 48-volt Tudio battery next to the massive 72-volt 50 amp hour battery I'm upgrading to. I thought it would barely fit, but it actually has too much wiggle room. It now plugs right in, and I'm able to change the tune to 72 volts and increase the power through the app with direction from LAE Rides. The only problem now is that the battery just barely stops the seat from closing, so I need to trim a little bit off the seat. I'm taking care to mark an accurate line for where I'll cut, so I have as much seat left over as possible. I'd say my measuring was pretty good, maybe a hair off. I'm just gonna fill the space with some foam. I don't think you'll be able to notice it's there. A couple straps and voila, a 72-volt hacked Tudio ready for the street. My first stop downtown is Santos Studio, where Jim, Tim, Raw, and I are all getting a free shopping spree. We could just grab whatever we wanted.
If you've watched any Japanese car videos in the past couple years, you've likely seen this place. This is Meihan Sportsland, and it is often associated with the highest level of grassroots drifting in Japan. It became famous for its insane big entry style of drifting, but even more so due to what happens when you make a mistake. Because Meihan has concrete walls on both sides of the course, when people crash, they crash hard. This high-risk, high-reward style of driving makes Meihan a crowd favorite from all over the world. And last year, I made it my personal mission to learn how to drive there. But before we get to that part of the story, we gotta rewind to the beginning. This was my first drift car in Canada. They were cheap at the time, and this car would end up teaching me everything about drifting. After learning about Meihan, I came across some obscure tutorial videos of that rarely talked about Japanese big entry style of drifting. I was hooked, but I quickly learned how difficult this style of drifting really is, and I focused on just having fun instead. This led me down a journey of going to every single drift day I could afford.
Let's see how each of these categories came to life